Was member of the Orthodox Party and was due to present in the upcoming elections of 1952. But Batista, Fulgencio Batista, who was chief of the army, he made a coup d'etat, and 3 months before the scheduled election, so Fidel saw no other alternative but to attack the military garrison and make a political statement that we don't want Batista in power. Who was Batista? Fulgencio Batista was president of Cuba, and he was very cruel and violent. He was the one who opened the gates to the American mafia entering on the island and investing, but also sucking money out of Cuba, with very few Cubans benefiting from it. But these subsequent corrupted governments were in the 20s and 30s, but Batista was the worst of them all. He was known because of big oppression and assassination of young leaders, gambling, prostitution, lots of casinos. Cuba was the backyard of American tourists on the island, and let me tell you, we were making more revenue than Las Vegas. Cuba was the paradise. It was the Caribbean Paris of the Caribbean, and Las Vegas of Cuba. So it was big casinos, big nightlife, big nightclubs, cabarets everywhere, especially Havana. So yes, it was a beautiful city, glorious, beautiful buildings, especially in Havana. But the gap among the rich and poor was enormous, and the poor were not taken. That was, yes, that was during Batista's rule, during Batista's government. So Fidel was one of the many Cubans who were not happy with Batista. And then he was a university graduate from law school in Havana, organized a young group, didn't say anything to them, just said, come with me, we're gonna do something in Santiago. They didn't know what was the plan of the attack. Even his little brother, Raul Castro, was kept in the dark because Fidel was counting on the secrecy factor of the attack. When he announced the night before July 25th, Fidel announced what was his plan for Santiago, what he's going to do in Santiago. We're going to attack the second most important military garrison. Most of these young people, we're talking about 18 years old, 20s, they were fixers, mechanics, university graduates. They were not military trained. Most of them say, no, this is suicidal, and step back. This man is crazy, we're not going with him. But the great majority say, I'll go with Fidel. So why Santiago was the question many people have posed. Why not Havana? If Havana is the first capital, is the capital of Cuba, why they didn't? He chose Santiago instead of Havana. He chose Santiago because of the mountains. Take a look in the back. You see the mountains? We have the longest mountain range of the island, 250 kilometers long. If anything goes wrong, we escape up into the mountains. The objective of the attack was to storm the Moncada and get enough ammunition and weapons to escape up into the mountains, to organize a bigger and popular uprising. So that was the first reason. Second reason, far from Havana, it will take longer for reinforcements to get here. Third reason, July 26th, Carnival Day. He shows on purpose a carnival and a Sunday day. Why? With the hope of finding less soldiers, or the soldiers either drunk or hangover. He was thinking in every little detail for the attack.
Che was with him then?
No, Che was not even.
Okay.
No, they didn't met by then. It was after July 26th. July 26th is the beginning of everything.
Che had a lot of casualties that day, or not really?
Yes, actually, the attack started. They set out to attack this barrack at 5 in the morning. 121 men, and of a convoy of 22 cars, at least 2 of them got lost on the way. Why? Because they were not familiar with the complex street layout of Santiago. Remember, they were all from Havana? Fidel was avoiding a mall among the group. That's why they were all from Havana. They came to Santiago, but 2 of them, 2 big cars got lost on the way. One got a flat tire, and another one, the other ones, the Fidel's group, was immediately spotted by Batista's soldiers because they were wearing a uniform, but they were not wearing the right shoes and the right belts of the uniform. So they were immediately recognized as outsiders. The guards set off the alarm, and the shooting started immediately. Only 7 men died in the attack, and other 60 of them were captured by Batista and brutally tortured after. 60 young men were tortured by Batista, and Batista made it seem like they all died in the attack as a warning sign. If you fight me, you're gonna end up dead. Did Fidel survive?
Yes.
Obviously, yeah.
Okay, so Fidel was been very lucky, by the way. I think the mother of Fidel just gave the Virgin of Charity when she came. He gave a figurine and it's locked inside, together with Ernest Hemingway medal. And she asked for the protection of his sons, and I think she heard him because Fidel has escaped all of the big battles during the revolution. So Fidel escaped into the mountains as it was a plan, and 1 week later he was found by a man who saved his life. A military Batista ordered to kill him at first sight. Nobody could put a face to the name. Remember, Fidel was a university graduate. Nobody could knew who Fidel was. It was July 26th that put Fidel in the radar. Nobody knew who Fidel was. So these men, it was black men from military, from Batista, Sargento Sarria, sergeant. He went and to the mountains as it was in the order of Batista, found Fidel, a group of young men, and his soldiers were pointing at them, and Sarria said, lower your weapons, you don't kill ideas, you fight them. This honorable attitude made Fidel approach him and say, I am Fidel. And Sarria said to him, don't say anything. From that moment on, Fidel knew he won an ally. And instead of taking Fidel to here, where he will be assassinated like the rest, he took Fidel in an open truck all around town so that everybody could see that Fidel was still alive. Unlike what Batista was publishing, Muerto Fidel, Fidel died. So everybody saw that Fidel was alive, so he had the right of a trial. And in trial, being a lawyer himself, he defended himself in trial. And that was what gave Fidel the notoriety. His speech was amazing, masterful. His speech explained why he attacked the barrack and also the revolution he was intending to lead. A revolution of housing opportunities, Cubans for the Cubans, healthcare and education, every little thing he actually followed step by step after he won power. So that was the thing that the Cuban nation was asking for, and Fidel actually promoted and explained all that when he was only 26 in jail, as explaining why he attacked the barrack. That was a big moment. We say July 26th, although it was a chaos, militarily speaking, because we lost the life of lots of young people, it was a little spark that led the big revolution after. Long story short, Fidel was sentenced to prison, 12 years in prison. Out of the 12 years, only did 2, because Batista wanted to get to power again, and he knew about the growing dissatisfaction of the Cuban population. So he liberated Fidel and his men. Many people say it was a big mistake. Fidel knew that once out, he was going to be killed. So he went to exile Mexico, and that's in exile Mexico where he met Che Guevara. He reorganized another troop of young leaders and set out to attack Cuba for the big revolution in the mountains. 1953, the attack of the barracks. 1956, Fidel come back to Cuba with Che Guevara in the mountains of Santiago. 1959, Fidel won the revolution. So that's a long story short.
Awesome.
Questions? What happened to the man who saved his life? He ruined his military career. He was expelled from the army. But once Fidel got to power, Sarria was made honorable man of the Cuban nation. He was like a guardian, guardian angel of Fidel Castro. He was always a part of the guard of honor in the presidential palace. So, but thanks God, he was not killed by Batista, but he lost his military career. Good question. I love question. What happened with the family of Batista and with Batista? Well, to be truly honest, Batista left Cuba in 1958. Left Cuba to Dominican Republic, where there was Trujillo, who was another dictator, welcomed him with open arms, and he took with him all of the country's treasure. The national treasure of Cuba was taken by Batista and left Cuba with nothing to start with. And let me tell you, Batista died very, very rich and very old too. but he died out of age. He died out of age.
Oh, he lived.
No, we didn't. No, but Cuba, what happened after when Fidel took over, wiped the slide clean. So nobody talked about Batista anymore or found out what was Batista or claim anything to Batista. Batista left and nothing else is known about him. All his family left. But he lived a life of luxury for many years. That's for sure. With the Cuban money. Okay, so questions. Any further questions? Did you understand a little bit? I gave you like a storyline.
Yeah.
Remember we started to fight the Spanish in the 1800s, and then there were the American intervention on the island at the beginning of the 20th century with the Spanish-American War. The Americans intervened to help us out, of course, with conditions, and the conditions are Guantanamo Bay. And so when the Americans gave Cuba back to Cubans in 1902,
On the map. Just
Guantanamo is right here in the map.
okay. So Che Guevara was who he said?
Che Guevara, who is that?
Yeah.
Che Guevara is an Argentinian. He's known by the Latin American community as one of the greatest heroes.